studied fashion design. I was specialized in women's wear. By the age of 21, back home in Algeria, I started making clothes. Then I thought that education would really help with what I want to do. So I moved to London and here I am. I didn't have the chance to be exposed to what you can get from art in London and in the UK or other countries. I used to follow whatever I find next to me that is related to fashion or art in general, so I can keep myself updated. But obviously when I came here, it was a whole exposure to this new culture and fashion in general. I've just seen fashion in a whole different view. It was a whole different side of me that it came out when I moved into London, because Algeria, it's not very artistic, and as a creative person I got to look inside myself. I might be this person, or I can try this thing, and I just trust with what I have, with being comfortable. This collection is kind of taking control over my brand. I wanted to make it more about me, more what I want to project to people, rather than letting other people put in it the way they want to put it. The only thing that I wish is I would keep being creative. I don't want to get into commercializing a lot just for the sake of selling. Money was never my goal, but I don't want to get to that level where I jeopardize my creativity to put a business before. Another big struggle is the finance that comes as a big elephant in the room every time we're trying to create something in London. I cannot afford to have a studio for myself at the moment. This is one of the most things that actually really annoys me, and I find it really hard to be creative at the same time not having a place where to be creative in, which is art.
I've always been interested in making people look their best. So I came here as an international student, so that in itself has a lot of little issues. I was different in many ways before, but the one thing that really stood out was the fact that I can't really stay here after I finished studying. When I was 18, I had this, hope, and I was going to be my own boss when I was 21, and I could, take care of my entire family. But I'm 23 and I'm still here with loads of debt and no job. I've been actually offered a lot of jobs, but the minute that they find out I need a visa sponsorship, that went down the drain. You hear all these stories about how difficult it is to get a job in the first place, but then with international students, we have the extra burden of getting the permission to stay in the country because we're not naturally legally allowed to stay here. But they don't want to sponsor anything that's lower than a management level way up. But if you are from a country that doesn't really have a developed fashion industry, it's very difficult to get to a level where you can get a management position somewhere like the UK. So I guess it's kind of a paradox in its own way.
I was born in Portugal, and when I was 5, I moved to Germany. It was my parents' decision to do that. in order to give us a bit of a safer future, because the economical situation in Portugal was not that good. So my parents wanted to save us from that trouble in Portugal, so they brought us to Germany. My degree is ladies wear fashion design, so the completely opposite of what I'm doing now. I even collected experience in a fur atelier, and I work for a haute couture label as well. So what I'm doing right now with L'Enfant is the complete opposite, but I don't really have directions, and I prefer to design or what to do how I feel like. So everything is a bit spontaneous and a bit like a guerrilla tactic. L'Enfant means the kid in French. My grandmother used to call me L'Enfant when I was younger, and I like that name because it reminds me constantly not to forget the child inside me. And I believe that a lot of people shouldn't get rid of the child inside themselves, because I feel like there's just more joy if you just see things a bit more naive sometimes. I love my family, I'm a family person, of course I miss my family. But pain and creativity goes hand in hand, and there's, in a sad way, also like a positive side effect of it being sad about the fact that I miss my family, because I can transform the sadness or the fear or the anger into my work. Because as I said before, I express my emotions through art. If you have ideas and in the same time you need a sort of income to realize those ideas, but then you pay rent and you pay travel, and then you have to eat as well. Like, it's a sort of hustle as well, and it slows down the process, not having money. And it frustrates us a lot, to be honest, because sometimes I wish, like, it sounds ridiculous, but money itself is not the solution, but having a bit of money would resolve a lot of problems that I have, and I could just create faster and quicker and more efficient. In 10 years, I really hope in south of France, having a nice house, a nice wife, a dog, kids, and just doing art every day and just enjoying life. But until there, I have to fight a certain war, and I have to win that war.
And what I would advise other people to do if they're not happy with the results, I would say, if you're a believer, just keep on doing it till it happens, because you will never know when it's going to happen. And maybe when you give up, this is when it's going to happen, and you will miss on that one chance that passed through you.
Definitely, looking back, there were other ways of going around it that might have made the journey a bit easier, but I wouldn't have learned the lessons I've learned. So I'm convinced that there is a reason for everything, and eventually I will be led onto the right path, and hopefully one day it'll like wind down a little and I won't have to struggle so much.
The biggest challenge is to maintain positivity and motivation. So that's where most of the people give up for multiple reasons, but I recommend to anyone, even if it's dark, it can be very dark, never forget the light in the end, and just focus. If you believe in it, just don't give a shit what people tell about you. Just focus on your dream and just do it. Oh my God, I have to pee. I'm the. Oh, sorry.